Okay, so the Eagles just got some massive news ahead of their matchup with the Bengals, as one key defensive player looks like he could be in danger of missing the game, and if he does, it could have huge ramifications for the Eagles defense, including possibly pushing one of the Birds' exciting young rookies into a starting role. So if that happens, just how well can he perform? Also, on top of that, the Birds also just got some other injury news ahead of the game, while Jalen Hurts and Jurgens previewed the matchup with the Bengals, and a shocking stat just came out showcasing the Eagles offense's biggest issue, but also their insane potential. So we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles. And we are just a few days away from the Birds' Week 8 matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is going to be a good test for this team, as the Bengals, despite their 3-4 record, are a very talented squad, and they definitely have the roster and experience to turn things around and become one of the better teams in the AFC as the season moves on. And at the very least, I definitely see them as a step above the Browns and Giants, who, like the Eagles, the Bengals also just beaten back-to-back games. So with the Eagles and Bengals currently on their respective 2-game win streaks, this will be a very interesting matchup to watch, and again, for the Eagles, who seem to be improving on both sides of the ball, it'll be a good measuring stick to see where they're at this point in the season. And of course, the Eagles are hard at work preparing for that matchup, which we'll dive into in just a minute, but I first want to talk about Saquon Barkley, who is continuing to fit right in perfectly in Philly, as not only has he of course been amazing on the field, but off it, he's been great too. And last night, he showed up to the Sixers season opener to ring the bell before the game, and he got the Philly crowd, including myself, pretty fired up. Yeah, it was certainly pretty exciting just being there when Saquon came out as the bell ringer for the game. Now, on the other hand, it definitely sucked that the Sixers lost and there was no Embiid or Paul George, but again, it still is just awesome to see how Saquon has continued to embrace Philly ever since he got here. And it's also awesome to see Saquon continue to get recognized for his great play on the field, as after his 176-yard rushing performance versus his former team this past Sunday, Barkley was officially named the NFC Offensive Player of the Week on Wednesday. And I mean, I don't think there's really any debate that he fully deserves it, as he was just phenomenal in that game. He carried the Eagles offense and brought them to life in that second quarter with the long run, and he also easily outgained the entire Giants offense by himself, so that was definitely awesome to see, and drop a like down below for Saquon winning this award. But now, moving on, the Birds were back out on the practice field yesterday and also today as they continue to prepare for their matchup against the Bengals, but a few guys were missing from Wednesday's session, starting with right guard Mekhi Becton, who was out with that concussion that he suffered in the Giants game, and I feel like based on that, he more than likely won't be ready to go this week. I mean, we obviously saw both Devontae Smith and Lane Johnson suffer concussions in Week 3 and then miss the Week 4 game, and I think a similar thing will probably happen here with Becton. Now, obviously, there is still time for him to clear protocol, and we'll see what his status is like for today and tomorrow's practices, but again, just based on the Eagles' recent history dealing with concussions and the fact that he didn't practice yesterday, if I had to guess, he'll probably miss this game against the Bengals. Luckily for the Eagles, though, they do have a really solid backup at that position, and that, of course, is the second-year man, Tyler Steen, and if you'll remember back to before the Eagles brought Becton in, it was expected that Steen was going to be the starter at right guard this year, and then even headed into training camp, he still seemed to be the favorite, so even though Becton did eventually win the job, the Eagles still clearly like Steen and have a lot of confidence in him. And the two times he has had to step in this year and play when Becton has gone down, he's performed very well, so if he does have to start this week, I would expect nothing less from him than another good performance. And that's especially true just considering the pedigree and culture of this Eagles offensive line room, and how so far this year and in the past, we've seen multiple backups, including Steen, step in when their number is called and perform at a high level. And on Wednesday, both left guard Landon Dickerson and center Jurgens talked about that and explained why the backups on the offensive line have been able to have so much success.
Yeah, so from day one, the emphasis in the offensive line room is regardless if you are a starter on that day or not, that you will prepare like a starter, you will practice like a starter, treat everything you do as if you were starting. And that's just the standard that we've set from day one, so that you know that when a guy goes down or gets hurt and the next guy comes in, you have trust and faith in them, because offensive line, it takes all five guys there being on the same page, knowing how that guy beside you is playing and what his thought process is. So from day one, that's just kind of the mindset going in, and it helps. You see kind of how it's gone this season with guys going down, getting injured, guys having to step in. So
yeah, I think honestly a lot of credit goes to Stout on that aspect, just because he treats everybody the same. If you're the last guy in the room, you're still getting coached just as hard as the starters, and so everybody's preparing the same way.
First of all, obviously, shout out to the guys who have had to step in on short notice and for being ready for those situations, but I think the guy who deserves the most credit for this is clearly offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland. I mean, we know how good he is from an X's and O's standpoint as an offensive line coach, and we also know how good he is at just making guys better and developing players, but he also clearly has created a phenomenal culture around the Eagles offensive line during his years in Philly, and you see the impact that that has in instances like this, for example, when backups have to step in and play. And speaking of backup offensive linemen, one move the Birds just made yesterday was to sign tackle Jack Driscoll from the practice squad to the active roster, while bringing back recently released wide receiver Paris Campbell to the practice squad along with defensive tackle Siaki Ika. And this definitely does make sense, as with Jordan Mailata out for a few more weeks, the Birds are looking a little thin at the tackle position, and if someone else goes down, they need to be prepared. So I definitely think elevating Driscoll was a good move, especially since he's another guy who, if he has to step in and play, I expect him to be ready because we've seen him do that before. But now moving on to another somewhat surprising development from the injury report yesterday, the Birds were missing one of their key starters on defense, as their leading tackler and starting linebacker Zack Baun was out with a shoulder injury. And this isn't an injury that just popped up out of nowhere, as even though it was easy to miss, Baun actually did get a little banged up at the end of the Giants game and had to exit just one play before all the rest of the defensive starters were pulled. And now that he has missed some time in practice this week, it seems like his status for this upcoming game versus the Bengals could be in jeopardy. And first off, I want to say that obviously just wouldn't be a good thing for this Eagles defense. I mean, Baun has been really good and a consistent presence at linebacker so far this year. He's obviously been a great tackler as he leads the team in that statistic, and he's just been an all-around solid and physical football player, so again, not having him would surely hurt the Eagles defense in this game, and if he is out, that means that somebody else is going to have to step up in his absence. And what's interesting is that this is a situation where the Birds could probably use the services of Devin White, but of course, they released him a little while ago, and now, as of Wednesday, he has officially signed with the Houston Texans, so we'll see how he does there, but for the Eagles, they got to look to the other guys they have on their roster. Now, from what I've seen, the veteran Oren Burks is being suggested as the guy that could fill in for Baun if he does miss this game with a shoulder injury, as Burks has of course been in the league for a while now, and he's played a lot of meaningful football games, so he'd most likely be the most comfortable of all the guys the Eagles have if he had to slide into the starting lineup, but it is no guarantee that he'd be the guy the Eagles go with in this situation. And it seems like one of the Birds' rookies actually could have a very real chance to make his first start if Baun in fact cannot play. And don't worry, we're going to get into that and more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and you don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this coming throughout the rest of this season, then make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. Trust me, you guys are not going to want to miss any of the Eagles coverage or content I got coming on this channel. I pretty much cover the Eagles daily here, so if you want to stay up to date on all the latest news, then again, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, and also drop a like, because all that's completely free, and it really does help me out a ton. So let's see if we can get to 700 likes on this video, and now with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So as I was saying, if Zack Baun can't go in this game as he's still recovering from that shoulder injury, then somebody who could possibly be in line to step in and fill that void is their rookie linebacker Jeremiah Trotter Jr., as he's a guy with a lot of talent and ability who flashed at times during the summer in training camp and preseason, and he's probably someone who the Eagles could see as part of their future plans on defense. So I'm sure the Birds would be very interested to see what he looks like early in his rookie season if given a legit starting role for a game. And if he is given the opportunity, then you better believe he's going to be ready for it. As when speaking about the possibility of having to step in and play some real meaningful snaps, he said, quote, "When I saw Baun come off, I was thinking at first that I hope he's okay. When stuff like that happens, and he's fine, but when it happens, it makes you think. I felt like I was ready if I had to step in. At that point in the game, it was pretty much under control. I definitely try to make sure that every single week I'm preparing like I'm starting. I'm getting a lot of reps, so if that situation comes up, I'm confident in my preparation." So I definitely like hearing that from Trotter, and again, if he does have to step in and start, then it makes me a lot more confident in his ability to fill that void pretty well. And also, like I said earlier, he had some really nice moments in the preseason and training camp, so I think the talent is there with Trotter, and if he came in and had to play, I'd like to think that he would do alright, outside of probably making some rookie mistakes here and there. That being said though, it doesn't seem like Baun's injury is too serious, and I definitely still think there's a very real chance of him playing this week, so we'll see what happens and what the injury reports look like today and tomorrow. And actually, just as I'm getting ready to upload this video, the Eagles are beginning their Thursday practice, and Zack Baun is out there in some capacity, so while that doesn't necessarily mean that he will play this week, it does look like he is trending up, and again, he very well could be ready to go for Sunday. But what do you guys think? If Baun can't in fact go for this game, then would you like to see Trotter step up into that role, and would you guys be confident in him to actually perform well? But now, switching over to the offensive side of the ball, the Eagles obviously have a very interesting matchup with the Bengals defense this week that has some talent, but also that really just hasn't been performing too great to start the season off, as they ranked just in the early 20s in pretty much every major statistical category, but Jalen Hurts and Jurgens still both made sure to give them their praise ahead of the matchup.
I think they're a great defense. I think they're a great team. They're a gritty team. They find ways to win, a competitive team. Front seven definitely stands out, and then their DBs make plays on the ball. So we got a good challenge ahead of us.
They got a really good veteran D line. I think everybody across the four they're year 7, 8. So there's some veteran guys and they run well. So it's a good squad.
I do definitely think that the Bengals defense still has some things going for them, but overall, I just don't see them being a huge challenge if I'm being fully honest, and they're definitely not even close to the best defense that the Birds have played all year, so I expect the Eagles offense to continue building on their upward trajectory in this game. But again, as we've been saying for a while now, the one thing they definitely got to get fixed is their slow starts, because it's honestly just getting ridiculous at this point. Like, there's just absolutely no way an offense with this much talent should be starting this slow, and you can see just how good the Birds offense can be if you just look at this one crazy stat, as the Eagles have the very worst offense in the NFL in the first 2 drives of the game, but the second best offense in the NFL in all the drives after that. So that should just go to show you how good this offense can be and how these slow starts have really been holding them back. Now, I do think the blame falls a little bit on everybody here, but the main people I'm going to point to is the coaches, because they're obviously the ones who are scripting out the first few drives. So Nick Sirianni, Kellen Moore, and all those guys just have to be better in this area. But again, this week is a great opportunity to do that, as the Bengals don't have the best defense in the world. So we'll see what happens. As I've said in the past, I think one of the keys to fixing this slow start issue is just to lean more heavily on the run game and just get into a rhythm that way and get some first downs, and then I think the rest of your offense will start to open up. But what do you guys think? Give me all your thoughts down in the comments below regarding what the Eagles should do to fix their slow start issues. And also, again, while you're at it, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content coming throughout this entire season. And also leave a like to show some support if you did enjoy this video. I would greatly appreciate it, because it really does help me out a ton, guys. Again, let's see if we can get to 700 likes. And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video going over some absolutely crazy trade rumors, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.